What are you coming up to me? Why are you coming up to me? Why are you coming up to me asking me what am I doing? Do you know what I'm doing? I'm trying to use the photosensitive light systems.
Don't do it.
Listen, don't tell me don't. I'll do it to whatever I want to.
Okay.
Who are you?
I'm a police officer.
Are you? No, you're not a police officer. You're just a member of the public.
Come on, come round to...
You're just a member of the public.
Come round to the station.
You're a member of the public. Prove to me you're a police officer.
Just wait there.
No, I'm not going to wait here. Get lost. Don't tell me what to do. What do you mean, where am I going? Going where I want to go.
Where are you going?
I'm going where I want to go. Listen. Don't touch me. Do not touch me.
Wait here.
No.
Wait here.
No. Prove that you're a police officer. Don't touch me. I'm standing in the.
Don't push me.
I'll push you. You're a member of the public.
I'm a police officer.
No, you're not.
Look at that.
Don't start with me.
Okay.
Don't touch me.
Mate.
Don't call me mate either. Don't call me mate.
Calm down.
You calm down. Get out of my way.
It began with whispers, rumors of mounting tension between Downing Street and Buckingham Palace. At first, few paid attention, dismissing it as the usual friction between government and monarchy. But beneath the surface, a storm was gathering. Starmer, frustrated by what he saw as the monarchy's lingering influence over national affairs, grew increasingly restless. He did not seek gradual reform, he wanted sweeping transformation. For weeks he watched and waited, calculating the perfect moment. Then, in a move that shocked even his closest allies, he acted. With the eyes of Parliament upon him and the cameras of the nation broadcasting every word, Starmer openly challenged the king's role in Britain's future. His words were blunt, unsparing, and relentless. He declared that the monarchy obstructed progress, that King Charles represented a past Britain could no longer afford, and that bold, decisive action was needed to secure the nation's future. The country held its breath as the political landscape shifted beneath their feet. He accused the crown of clinging to privilege while ordinary people struggled through crisis after crisis. Then came the most devastating blow. Starmer declared it was time to strip the monarchy of its influence once and for all. The chamber gasped. Ministers sat frozen, some in awe, others in fury. In that moment, Starmer crossed a line no leader in recent history had dared to approach. The monarchy, long regarded as untouchable, was suddenly exposed, its shield of tradition shattered by words that struck like daggers. For King Charles, who had worked tirelessly to present himself as a unifying figure, the moment was nothing short of humiliation. His authority, dignity, and even his reign were openly questioned before the entire world. Within minutes, the nation erupted. News outlets interrupted regular programming to broadcast the shocking declaration. Headlines screamed of royal crisis, the Prime Minister's rebellion, and a confrontation that could reshape Britain forever. Social media exploded, with hashtags calling for a republic rising against those demanding loyalty to the crown. The country was no longer united. It was divided, torn between the weight of centuries-old tradition and the urgent call for radical change. In that instant, Britain's political landscape shifted irreversibly, and the monarchy, once untouchable, faced its greatest challenge yet. Every citizen was forced to take a side. Was Starmer a visionary leading Britain into the future or a reckless agitator tearing the nation apart? The palace was caught off guard, scrambling to respond. Royal aides rushed between rooms, phones rang non-stop, and whispers of panic echoed through Buckingham's gilded halls. King Charles remained silent. His silence was not strength, it was agony. Each passing moment without a response deepened the perception that the monarchy had been struck and had no defense. For centuries, the crown had been a symbol of endurance, a steady anchor in times of chaos. But now, in this storm, it seemed adrift, battered by waves of defiance it could not control. Starmer's supporters seized the moment, praising him as courageous, unafraid to challenge ancient power. Young activists filled the streets, chanting his name and waving banners declaring, "The people first, Britain without chains." To them this was liberation, not betrayal. As the nation watched, Britain teetered on the edge, tradition and authority colliding with ambition and reform, while the consequences of Starmer's challenge rippled through every corner. The balance of power had shifted, perhaps forever. The opposition was fierce. Royal loyalists rallied in defiance, some waving flags, others shouting accusations of treason and betrayal. To them, Starmer had not liberated Britain, he had stabbed it in the heart. Across the nation, anger spread like wildfire. Protests erupted in London, Manchester, and Birmingham. Crowds clashed, police struggled to maintain order, and tension crackled in the air. This was no longer politics. It was a battle for identity, for the very soul of Britain.
He is assaulting me.
What's going on?
What do you mean you saw him pushing? There's cameras up there and I'm making sure I'm getting in the camera. He hasn't identified himself. He's a member of the public.
Yeah, he's holding his head.
I don't care. He hasn't said who he is. Let go of me. Let's go. Of course he does.
Recording the.
Of course I am. I'm in a public place. Listen, let go of me.
Will you stop
Let go of me. If you touch me as well. Who are you? Identify yourself.
I am police officer Paul Veazey, Sergeant Veazey, based at this police station.
So why didn't you identify yourself when I told you to?
Because I asked you what you were doing.
I don't care. You're a member of the public. Until you identify yourself, you're a member of the public. Is he not a member of the public until he identifies himself?
No.
Of course he is. And then he's trying to tell me.
Listen to what he's saying, because he's a danger at the
Can you
minute.
take your bag off, please?
No. No.
Okay, I will take your bag off.
Listen, stop. If he touches me, you know this is unlawful.
No, because you're detained for a search.
Under what section? Under what section?
Calm down.
Under what
Stop
section?
grabbing me.
Under what section? Why are you detaining me for a search first? Under what section? Under what
Mate,
section?
will you stop grabbing me?
Under what section?
Calm down.
Under what section is he stopping me and detaining me?
As night descended, one truth became clear. This storm would not pass. It was a crisis only beginning. A rebellion that could not be silenced. A humiliation the Crown could not easily recover from. The shockwaves of Starmer's defiance intensified with every hour. What began as a fiery declaration in Parliament now engulfed the entire nation. Britain had faced wars, scandals, and political collapses before, but this was different. This was not merely a political attack. It was a seismic challenge to centuries of tradition, an upheaval threatening to redefine the balance of power and the identity of the nation itself. The monarchy, once untouchable, now faced its greatest test. This was no distant scandal or hidden crisis. The Prime Minister himself, the very face of Britain's democracy, was openly challenging the monarchy, leaving the Crown exposed and humiliated before the world. Inside Downing Street, triumph mingled with tension. Starmer's closest allies hailed his boldness, celebrating a move no leader before had dared attempt. They saw history unfolding, a chance to redefine Britain as a republic free from ceremonial chains. Yet even among supporters, doubt lingered. Could this rebellion endure? Was Starmer leading the nation toward a brighter future, or over a cliff with no return? The questions remained unspoken but heavy in the air. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace remained silent. Advisors worked frantically, weighing every possible response. Some urged a strong, immediate statement to counter Starmer's challenge. Others counseled patience, fearing rash action could escalate the crisis. Outside, the nation waited, caught between centuries of tradition and a radical new vision for Britain's future. Each passing hour magnified the stakes, and the balance of power, and the monarchy's very survival, hung in the balance. Advisors urged King Charles to reassert his authority and remind the nation of the monarchy's role as a unifying symbol. Others counseled caution, warning that any words spoken now could escalate the conflict into a direct confrontation with the government. The weight was crushing. For years he had promised to modernize the monarchy, to be a figure bridging past and present. Yet a single speech from Starmer had reframed him, not as a unifier, but as an obstacle to progress. A symbol of privilege in a nation demanding change. The public response was immediate and fierce. Across London, protests swelled. One side rallied for the monarchy, waving flags and singing royal anthems. The other demanded its abolition, their chants roaring, banners declaring liberation. Clashes erupted in the streets, police struggling to contain the surging crowds. The city, once a model of order, trembled under the strain of division. The crisis had spilled far beyond Parliament and Buckingham Palace, striking at the heart of the nation. Media outlets amplified every moment, broadcasting headlines of royal humiliation and constitutional crisis. Britain now stood at a crossroads, torn between centuries of tradition and a powerful call for radical change, with the monarchy's future hanging precariously in the balance. Starmer's speech replayed endlessly across Britain. Every word was dissected, every phrase analyzed. Commentators debated. Was this the dawn of a new era or the collapse of national stability? Some hailed Starmer as a visionary renewing democracy. Others called him reckless, accusing him of plunging the nation into chaos. Across kitchen tables, pubs, offices, and buses, citizens argued passionately. Britain was divided, not by borders or class but by loyalty to crown or country. The crisis drew global attention. The United States watched with fascination, dubbing it Britain's revolution in slow motion. European leaders expressed alarm, privately noting that a weakened monarchy could shift global diplomacy. In Commonwealth nations, politicians in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand called urgent debates on royal allegiance. Media outlets worldwide broadcast footage of London protests and parliamentary turmoil, magnifying the spectacle. Britain's identity, once a balance of tradition and progress, now hung in the balance. Every decision, every word, and every protest added uncertainty. The nation faced a choice between centuries of ceremonial continuity and the radical vision of a leader challenging the monarchy's very heart.
You can do whatever you want to do, but under what section? Until he tells
I'm not the one that's detained you,
tell him.
so
Ask him what section.
Right, take your hand out.
No, ask him what section.
Section 43 of the Terrorism Act.
And what makes you think I'm a terrorist?
Because you are recording police officers' number plates.
Which I can't. No,
Through a gate.
That doesn't. No, listen.
You tell me what
Now
you're doing.
he's overstepping his boundaries right now, and he's assaulting me. Constantly assaulting
Right,
me.
he's told you the section now.
Alright then, okay, alright then, I'll relax, alright then. Wait.
Take your bag off then.
Just wait.
You're saying you relax, take your bag off.
Alright, listen,
Relax.
I've got a camera in my hand.
I can
I'm
see
trying
that.
to
We've
do
got cameras on us.
too many things at once.
But why specifically?
But I can.
You can film what you
Well
like.
then,
Why are you filming inside
if I can
the
film
station?
what I like, which is just what you've just
Why are
said.
you filming inside
Because
the station?
I can, lawfully. I'm not doing anything wrong, illegal, nothing.
No one showed you were doing it.
Yes, you have. You said you're detaining me under section 43. You're suspecting me of being a terrorist. You're a nutter. That's what you are.
For many, the crown still held meaning. Starmer's rebellion was not merely a national crisis. It was an opportunity. Yet the most unsettling whispers came from within Britain's own political establishment. Senior opposition members began meeting in secret, considering ways to challenge Starmer's authority. Some feared he had gone too far, blinded by ambition, risking the dismantling of centuries of tradition overnight. Others saw his audacity as a chance to reshape Britain entirely, positioning themselves to ride the wave of rebellion. Even at the height of his defiance, Starmer faced enemies, some lurking within his own ranks. For King Charles, the crisis cut deeper than politics. It was personal. Behind the palace's gilded walls, reports whispered of anguish and betrayal, lamenting that the man entrusted with governing the nation had turned against the very institution he represented. For a monarch who had waited decades to ascend the throne, the humiliation was immense. Yet despite his fury, he remained bound by centuries of tradition, constrained from responding with the freedom the Prime Minister enjoyed. The clash between ambition and heritage, rebellion and duty, would shape the nation's future in ways no one could yet predict. The crown now shackled him. To act too boldly would breach the constitutional limits he had sworn to uphold. To remain silent was to appear weak, perhaps fatally so. King Charles was trapped, caged within his own crown. The stage was set for a confrontation unlike any Britain had seen in modern times. Starmer had drawn the battle lines. The monarchy was cornered, and the people found themselves in the eye of a storm that threatened to sweep away everything familiar. As night fell, one truth became undeniable. The royal crisis had erupted and there was no returning to calm. Britain had stepped into the unknown, with the road ahead set to test its institutions, its leaders, and its very identity. Citizens felt the nation teetering at the edge of a cliff. One step forward promising transformation, one misstep collapse. Starmer's words continued to echo through the corridors of power, reverberating across Parliament and the country. His rebellion had not merely challenged King Charles. It had shaken the very architecture of British governance. Tradition, authority, and loyalty now hung in the balance. The nation braced itself for a future defined by upheaval, uncertainty, and the clash between centuries-old monarchy and radical ambition. The tension was no longer about right or wrong. It was about survival, legitimacy, and the future of the kingdom. In Westminster, political maneuvering reached fever pitch. Ministers held late-night meetings, faces grim, debating whether to support Starmer or distance themselves from his defiance. Some argued loyalty, saying his vision reflected a public weary of ancient traditions. Others warned that backing him could plunge Britain into chaos. The cabinet, once a symbol of unity, had fractured, riddled with suspicion and quiet betrayal. Every word was weighed, each statement potentially elevating a minister as a champion of change, or condemning them as a casualty of rebellion. Outside Parliament, the spectacle grew surreal. Crowds swarmed the streets, voices clashing like storms. Royalists wrapped in Union Jacks demanded loyalty to the king, accusing Starmer of treason. Opposing them, protesters called for liberation and a republic, chanting the Prime Minister's name. Britain's identity, once steady, now teetered. Every action, speech and protest shaped the nation's path. Tradition and authority clashed with radical ambition, leaving the country caught in uncertainty, its institutions, leaders and monarchy facing a test that could redefine the very soul of Britain. Republicans raised placards, declaring that the monarchy had no place in a modern democracy. London's streets became a battlefield of ideas, with chants, songs and slogans clashing for dominance. Police struggled to maintain order, their shields battered not by weapons but by the raw intensity of passion from both sides. As the days passed, uncertainty crept into everyday life. Businesses reported growing unease among investors, worried that Britain's political stability was unraveling. Sterling fell sharply on international markets, sending ripples of anxiety through New York, Paris and Tokyo. Diplomats scrambled to reassure allies that Britain was not on the brink of collapse. Headlines screamed of a monarchy in peril, yet for many the threat ran deeper, a fracture within threatening centuries of stability. Britain faced no foreign invasion. It faced internal upheaval fueled by rebellion, ambition and division. Citizens, leaders and institutions alike confronted a stark reality. Centuries of tradition now clashed with radical change, and the nation's foundations trembled under the weight of uncertainty and unrest. At Buckingham Palace, King Charles remained publicly silent, yet sources whispered of his private torment. The king reportedly paced the gilded halls late into the night, confiding only in his closest aides and family. His silence was not weakness, it was careful calculation. Every word he might speak could tip the balance, and one misstep could spell the end of the monarchy altogether. Still, the humiliation gnawed at him. A lifetime preparing for the crown had led to this moment, only to be undermined not by scandal or personal failing, but by the very man entrusted to govern the nation. For Charles, this was more than a political crisis. It was an existential wound. Meanwhile, Starmer grew bolder, framing the conflict not as an attack on the monarchy but as a necessary step toward true democracy. In speeches and interviews, he cast himself as a servant of the people, unafraid to speak truths long silenced. His rhetoric resonated with millions who saw the monarchy as outdated, yet with each word he deepened divisions, challenging centuries of tradition and forcing Britain to confront a stark choice between radical change and enduring heritage.
You've done anything wrong in your career? Have you done anything wrong in your career? Have you been misogynistic? Huh? Are you part of any WhatsApp groups? Huh? Are you being investigated by the police like IOPC? Is that why you didn't want to identify yourself? Joker.
Okay, thank you. Off you go.
No, tell me, undetain me.
You are undetained from your search.
Yeah, and next time I can go where I want, right?
Yes,
Don't
and
try
next
to stop
time,
me.
It will still
Don't
be
try
suspicious,
to stop me.
so get out.
Starmer's defiance ignited outrage among those who saw his actions as betrayal. What began as a political gamble had grown into a movement, and movements once unleashed are difficult to control. Internationally, European Republic leaders quietly praised him, suggesting Britain was finally catching up with the modern world. Within the Commonwealth, loyalties trembled. In Australia, debates resurfaced about severing ties with the Crown. In Canada, protests mirrored London with demonstrators demanding independence from monarchy. The ripple effect was undeniable. A domestic confrontation between Starmer and King Charles now threatened global influence. In Parliament, the opposition grew restless. Some warned that Starmer's audacity risked destabilizing the nation, while others saw a chance to ride the wave of change. Britain was no longer just divided at home. The political reverberations had gone international. Questions of sovereignty, tradition, and the monarchy's role now hung in the balance, and the nation faced an uncertain future. Starmer's rebellion had become a dangerous gamble that threatened to consume the government itself. Rumors of a potential no-confidence vote spread, whispered plans to topple him before his defiance tore the nation apart. Allies grew wary, rivals bold, and the once united cabinet began to fracture under pressure. For Starmer, victory had never seemed more attainable, but neither had betrayal. The media framed the standoff as a battle of destiny. Tabloids shouted of the people versus the crown, while broadsheets debated whether Britain faced its gravest constitutional crisis since Edward VIII's abdication. Social media amplified the turmoil, transforming it into a war of narratives. Viral videos, fiery hashtags, and memes fueled division in real time. Every word, gesture, and silence became a weapon in the fight for Britain's future. Amid the chaos, a single question loomed: who would emerge victorious? Would Starmer's rebellion dismantle the monarchy's centuries-old grip and reshape Britain forever? Or would King Charles rally his people, reclaim authority, and crush the defiance threatening the crown? The nation held its breath, poised on the edge of history, uncertain which path it would take and what future would emerge from the unfolding storm. Would the rebellion consume the nation before it could be contained? The answer remained uncertain, but one thing was undeniable: the storm was growing stronger. The clash between crown and government had moved beyond tradition and protocol, becoming a struggle for survival. Britain now stood in the eye of a political hurricane, its tension approaching a breaking point. What began as a political dispute between Prime Minister Keir Starmer and King Charles had escalated into a full-scale national crisis, with the world watching Britain strain under centuries of history. Each passing day deepened the divide between loyalty and rebellion, compelling citizens, politicians, and even the royal family to choose sides. Britain had become a stage for a historic confrontation, one that would determine whether the monarchy could still command allegiance in a modern era or collapse under the fire of democratic revolt. The crescendo neared as Parliament prepared for its most explosive session in decades, the chamber bracing for a collision of centuries-old tradition with radical ambition, a spectacle the nation and the world would never forget. Inside the chamber, the atmosphere was electric, thick with unease. Starmer entered with the presence of a man bearing the weight of history. His gaze was steady, his words deliberate, uncompromising. The monarchy, he declared, could no longer dictate the boundaries of democracy. Britain must evolve or perish. The declaration sparked chaos. Some MPs pounded their desks in support. Others shouted accusations of betrayal. No one remained unmoved. The chamber, once a symbol of order, had become a battleground of ideology, where every word carried the weight of destiny. Outside, thousands filled London's streets. Royalists and Republicans clashed, chants merging into a deafening roar. Police struggled to hold the line as barricades fell and flags were set aflame. London itself had become a theater of conflict. Tradition collided with radical change, each side demanding recognition. The nation watched, poised on the edge of a historic confrontation that could redefine the monarchy, the government, and Britain's identity forever. Television screens broadcast the chaos to millions at home and abroad, each frame magnifying a Britain teetering on the edge of collapse. Ordinary citizens felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration, aware they were living through a moment that would be studied in history books for centuries. King Charles, long silent, could no longer remain in the shadows. On a cold evening, he addressed the nation in a televised broadcast. His face was grave, his voice carrying both dignity and despair. Without naming Starmer directly, he warned of dangers threatening the unity of Britain, urging his people to remember the strength of tradition and the importance of continuity. He spoke not as a politician, but as a monarch appealing to the heart of the nation. Yet, as his words spread, the country felt a deeper sense of division. For some, it was a rallying cry that rekindled devotion to the crown. For others, it became undeniable proof that the monarchy was struggling to maintain relevance in a rapidly changing nation.
Forecourt, so
It's publicly accessible.
It
It
isn't public.
It is.
Let's get
I've
going.
already had this conversation. Didn't you stop me from leaving? You stopped me from leaving,
Yes,
didn't you?
because I've
yeah, you stopped me from leaving. Get lost.
Thank you.
Foxtrot
Get going.
Oscar.
Go away.
Foxtrot Oscar.
Go on. Get going.
You touch me
Go
again,
away.
and that will
Go-
definitely be another.
Go
If
away
he
now.
touches me again, I want him
ask you
arrested.
something? Okay,
If he touches me again, I want him
Can you
arrested.
listen? Can you listen to what I
I am
have to
going
say?
of my own. What do
That's
they
fine,
call it?
that's fine.
I'm walking of my own
your
time.
will, okay.
Okay.
Just walk.
I'm not. Listen. I'm
We're
walking
trying to
away.
work the-
Yeah.
okay.
He's following me.
Sir.
He's coming up to me. He's causing me harassment, alarm, and distress.
But you are
and
still
got up.
here.
Be mindful of
No,
people
don't
coming
tell
in
me
and out because they're
anything
gonna run you over
whatsoever.
the way.
Please,
be
just go
mindful,
away.
okay?
Just go away. No, just go. Just go. I mean, if you're going to have a conversation with me, have a conversation. If not, I don't know what you're hiding for, standing there. You're a sergeant.
I just think you need to go get a real job, buddy. That's all.
I think you need to go and get a life after saying that, sergeant. I'm going to be here for a little while longer now. You're rude. How's your mum? How's your mum? Oh wow, that wasn't very nice. Considering when PC Carlin said it to me and I put it through to the complaints team, they said it was a polite conversation.
A past that no longer belonged in the modern world collided with the present. Starmer's response was swift and unrelenting. He accused the monarchy of wielding silence as a weapon, of manipulating nostalgia to cling to power, and of obstructing progress. His defiance was no longer subtle. It was open rebellion. The Prime Minister positioned himself as the voice of the future, a leader daring to confront what others would not. Challenging the crown directly and unapologetically, he risked everything, yet his boldness electrified supporters. The rebellion was no longer his alone. It belonged to citizens rallying behind a vision of Britain free from royal oversight. International pressure surged as allies demanded clarity. The United States urged calm, while European leaders watched with fascination, some quietly admiring Starmer's audacity. Commonwealth nations began reconsidering ties to the crown, with Australia, Canada, and New Zealand observing closely. Britain's confrontation between tradition and progress had become a global spectacle, its future teetering on the edge of history. Debate raged over whether London's crisis was the chance to sever the last remnants of royal control. What began as a domestic political clash had escalated into a global spectacle, with Britain's influence and reputation at stake. Amid the turmoil, whispers of betrayal surfaced. Could Starmer's own party turn against him? Might royalists within the government strike secretly? Tension thickened as rumors of a no-confidence vote swelled, threatening to collapse the rebellion before it achieved its goal. Yet even doubters admitted one truth. Starmer had revealed the monarchy's vulnerability in a way no leader had dared before. The climax came when reports emerged of a motion to strip the monarchy of certain ceremonial powers, unprecedented in modern British history. The revelation ignited fear and exhilaration alike, marking a pivotal moment when Britain's future, and the monarchy's role within it, hung precariously in the balance. Hope and fury swept across Britain. To Starmer's supporters, the moment heralded the dawn of a new era, a triumph against centuries of unquestioned authority. To his opponents, it was sacrilege, a betrayal that threatened to unravel the very fabric of the nation. Both sides braced for impact, fully aware that once the motion was introduced, there could be no turning back. The country stood on the edge of transformation. The rebellion had outgrown Starmer, outgrown King Charles, and even outgrown Parliament itself. It had become a struggle over Britain's identity, what it truly was and what it could become. Would the monarchy endure, bruised but intact, its centuries of tradition carrying it through yet another storm? Or would this moment mark the beginning of its end, replaced by a vision of democracy that left no place for crowns or thrones? The streets roared, politicians schemed, the king agonized, and the prime minister defied. The nation collectively held its breath, knowing the days ahead would decide not just the fate of a government or a crown, but the destiny of Britain itself.